Welcome to the show where we try to navigate the wild and wonderful world of fatherhood. My name is Ryan, and with me, as always, is my best man and co host, Dan, and we are first time fathers.
Always pay the cat tax.
Yes, the cat tax is important. Do it, people. Okay, getting into it. First off on the docket, as always, is weekly checkups. Dan, what have you been up to this week? Anything new? Anything exciting?
I mean, if a baby being able to pull himself up and crawl around on stuff is considered exciting, then
Excuse me?
yeah. So within the matter of the last 3 days, Felix has learned that he can pull himself up to his feet and shimmy his way around.
Wow. Just
Wacky,
last
right?
week, you said he was, for the first time, just attempting to pull himself up.
Yep. And now he's standing up, with assistance of the things around him. And if you hold him up, he's already trying to walk. So I said a
No
month.
way.
Give it a week and a half. He's already on his way. It developed so fast, and it is so fun to watch. When I got home today, my wife goes, "Felix, do you want to walk over to Daddy?" And it's like,
Excuse
"Wait,
me?
excuse me, what?"
Yeah.
Hey, it's been a phenomenal couple days. I was so glad to get to experience it over the weekend, but he has no self-preservation yet. This kid learns things so fast, but pain does not deter him. He will stand up, and he's still wobbly, right? He's still new to it, and he'll fall over. And if he falls backwards, it's fine, right? He lands on his butt. He's upset about it. But then he's like, yeah, okay, that didn't actually hurt. I'll just get back up and do it again. But he likes to fall forward into stuff, or sideways, and that's the dangerous one. So
Right.
he hit his head on a corner or something, cried. You're right. Very upset
Of course.
naturally.
Yeah.
I'm very upset when I get hit in the face as well. But then as soon as he's calm, crawls right back up at the same spot, falls over again. Like, dude, likely we're there to catch him most of it. But come on, like you gotta learn a little bit. You figure, wait, let him learn. And he's like, no, I'm gonna learn everything else real fast, but this, I'm gonna hit my head again.
That's
Ugh.
right.
It's adorable, though. It's wonderful watching him get up, walk around a little bit, clearly under assistance and all that. But all he wants to do now is stand up. And so I was hanging out with him for a little bit here, and he crawled up to a window and just propped himself up. He loves windows. He loves looking outside. And so he'll just prop himself up on the window and just hold himself there and cheer and be all excited and stuff. And it's a lot of fun to watch and very exciting to see, and amazing how fast it goes from rolling around on the ground, crawling, and really just army crawling. It wasn't even like doing the traditional baby crawl to just popping up, and he's trying to be on the move. It's phenomenal. And then because he was doing all this, I was like, hey, I wonder if he can do stairs. Probably not a good choice to teach him stairs, but I was like, yeah, let's see if he can crawl the stairs. I set him down in front of the stair, up a stair in an instant.
No way.
Like, how do you know how to do this?
Yeah, no kidding. He is just a pro automatically.
He's a pro.
Just done.
Yeah. It's incredible and wonderful and terrifying.
That
So,
is, it's
yeah.
incredible though. A week and he's just leaps and bounds. That's
Yeah.
insane.
So I still hold true. I think the month from last week, I think he'll be able to take a couple steps on his own. I truly believe that, if not sooner.
I mean, at this rate, it might be tomorrow.
Seriously. So it happens fast.
Yeah.
Blink of an eye. It really is true.
That's amazing,
So,
though.
but yeah,
That's amazing.
that's been my week. So it's a lot, but it's wonderful. So what about you? What do you got going on? What's new?
Well, Denara and I did a lot of research on strollers and finally bought a stroller. It is one of those Graco Element strollers. We got it off of Amazon, and we're not 100% on it yet because there was two that we were looking at, and we like the one we got, but we think maybe we would like the quality of the other one better. The other one's more expensive, but it came with a couple different features that seemed a little bit better. And so what I think we're going to end up doing, unfortunately for our wallets, is buying the second one too, and then comparing them and seeing which one we like better, and then just returning the other one, whichever one we don't like. However, I will say this. If you're ordering a stroller online and it is one of those that you have to put together, if you have a partner with you, do it with your partner, because we had so many laughs just trying to put this thing together. It is super simple once you actually get it together and once you realize where it needs to go. But there were a couple things where the directions just really did not match what I was looking at. And we were just trying to figure it out. And then when we finally figured out, we're like, oh my God, we're so stupid. Like it was a lot of fun. We really, really had a great time, and I just really enjoyed it. So definitely recommend putting together a stroller with your partner, unless you're one of those people who just gets super frustrated with directions and putting things together. I'm like that with IKEA, but anything else, I'm fine. But yeah, so we got a stroller,
Just
and
imagine if it was an IKEA stroller.
I don't think it would get the national safety code or the national
Yeah,
safety
yeah,
mark, like,
you're
at
you're
all.
not wrong.
Yeah, I think it would just fall apart, but it comes with free hot dogs probably, so, I mean,
I mean,
trade-offs.
I'm all about those cinnamon rolls at IKEA, man.
Oh, I have actually never had the cinnamon rolls at IKEA, but you are
Since
not the first person to
it is
recommend them.
it is the entire reason I ever went there when I was younger. My mother would literally ask me if I wanted to go. I say no. She went, "I'll get you some cinnamon rolls," and I was in the car. Like,
Yeah, I mean, that would get me too probably. I
yeah.
do love me some cinnamon rolls.
It still would. If Liz pulled that trick on me, it would work. I'd be in the driver's seat like, "Come on, let's go."
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, cinnamon rolls are great. That's why I go to Costco. It's not for cinnamon rolls, but for the hot dogs at Costco. They're just awesome. In other news, I got not necessarily bad news, but different news. My dad died when he was 52 of a heart attack, and my grandfather had a bunch of heart issues. I'm in my mid 30s now, and so me and my brothers all got together and we were like, you know what? We're going to start getting these tests done to look deeper into our health to see, do we have the same issues that maybe our dad did, because we're high risk since our dad died of a heart attack. But my mom's family doesn't really have a lot of heart stuff, so we all got tested. I just got my test results back, and basically the numbers that signify high risk were high risk. So just means that I need to manage my health a little bit and start eating even healthier than I already am. I'm not at all an unfit guy. I'm active. I'm in good health for a normal person, but because I'm high risk, I just got to take care of myself a little bit more. And
Sure.
there's no better motivation to that than having a kid on the way. I got to tell you, because I do not want to be the same as my dad. You know, my dad was great, but he died at 52. I was 19 years old, and I remember the smell of the hospital that day. I remember all of it, every single minute of that day. I remember, and it just is burned into me. And I don't want to do that to my kid until I'm, 80, 90 years old. And by then,
He's sick of you at that stuff.
exactly. So he's already put me in an assisted living home. You and me at the cribbage board. Yeah, I
Well,
got
yeah,
you.
our
um,
wives will room us together, and they'll be like, "All
yeah,
right, just let him
we
be."
just got to get an assisted living home with a bowling alley and a golf course. And
Let's do
then
it.
we can be bad twice a day. Well,
Yeah,
you can be bad once a day and I can be bad twice a day. You'd still probably destroy me in bowling at 90. But
bowling, sure, but golf, I will always
yeah,
beat
we
you
will
for
we will both
that.
we were both just like, "Look at that. I hit it 14 yards."
I hit it.
Yeah, I hit it. Exactly. But yeah, it's not great news, but it's not bad news necessarily, because everything as I am right now, my health is fine. It's just something that I gotta be more on top of, just eat healthier and be there, and that way I can prevent anything in the future, you know? So that happened this week, but really the biggest thing has been just trying to figure out what the heck do we need for when the baby's here. You know? There's so
Yeah,
much. And that is what this episode is all about, everybody. We are going to talk about things that we need, maybe some things that Dan did not realize he needed until Felix was there. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, we got to go get this. Or maybe he had everything, but doesn't matter. We are just here to talk about what we need to be prepared for the baby. And that way, nobody is rushing last second to the store and going like, oh my gosh, I didn't bring this, I didn't get this, or whatever. So let's get right into it. I have created a document which has a list of roughly 70 things that, according to the internet and many sites that I've seen, are more or less necessary for a newborn baby. And I will put a link to that Google Doc in the description of this episode. That way, anybody can view it if they would like to and maybe make a copy of it. But it's cut into a few different categories, like general nursery things, playtime, feeding, diapering, bath time, when you're on the go, safety, and things like that. So you can go take a look at it. But we're going to go down this list and talk to Dan, who is actually living it, and see if the internet matches what Dan has experienced so far in the first 9 months of fatherhood. Starting with the main category, which is general nursery. So Denara and I want to get a bassinet and not a crib just yet. We want to start with a bassinet and have that for the first while, because we have a 1 bedroom apartment, and we think being able to just roll a bassinet around the apartment will be so much better than having just a crib in a singular spot that could potentially be in the way. And so for the first year, we think maybe that a bassinet will be better. Did
So
you guys just go straight in for a crib?
no, so it's different for everyone, right? So
Mhm.
you look online, you talk to professionals, and they'll tell you the same. It varies, but they say that roughly the first 6 months, your baby's going to want to be in the bassinet, right? Bassinet's going to be next to the bed, so if something happens, you can roll over. You're right there, right? Things you have to consider is the longer. Again, this is my experience and the way I see it. The longer the baby's in the bassinet next to your bed, the longer they may become sleep dependent, but the less sleep you will get. Because at least for us, right, Felix is a loud sleeper, right? He was snoring at a month old, right? And we were worried about it too. We asked about it, and I said, no, it's fine. But I want to say we moved Felix into his own room, into his crib, month and a half in. We already put him in his crib. Might have been a little longer than that, but part of that was he outgrew his bassinet real fast. But he also hated the bassinet. He'd be sound asleep. You'd set him down in this thing. Within a minute, he started screaming. But you pick him up, he soothed again. You put him in the crib, nothing. So he wasn't a fan of the bassinet. So, like I said, he was into his crib pretty early on. But we're lucky enough to have the space that we could have a crib set up and ready for him.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that was a big thing. But what also helped though is the first bassinet that we had was actually tiny. It was super useful for the first 2 weeks that he was around because he was still pretty small. But it was a pack and play bassinet. So it was a bassinet that fit on top of the pack and play, which is a great thing, but small. So we happen to have another one that was twice the size that he was able to fit in for at least a little bit longer. But like I said, we moved him into the crib really soon. So
Yeah, our plan is kind of similar, but there's some bassinets out there that actually not necessarily convert into cribs, but they're deeper than a typical bassinet. And then they just have walls that come down. So when you push it right up against the bed, it just flush with the bed. You can adjust the height based off of
yeah,
your bed and everything like that. And that I think is the route we want to go because we don't want the baby to be next to us at all times and become sleep dependent, like you're saying. And that was a thought that we had, but we still wanted to be able to roll the baby around if needed. And I know I know quite a few cribs have, casters on them, but we haven't really decided.
well, you got to remember, there's not a wrong way, right? Like, if you want to have your son in a bassinet for the first year, I mean, go for it, right? One,
Yeah.
it is easier in space. You guys are right there with him. It's just you're going to get at month 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They start to have object permanence, so they know just because I can't see something doesn't mean it's not there, right? And babies nowadays especially love phones. So if you're in bed on your phone and baby's asleep, or you think baby's asleep, and all of a sudden baby sees that phone, that baby knows you have a phone no matter how much you try to hide it. And that baby's not going to go to sleep until he gets that phone.
I'm hoping that I can keep any type of device away from the baby
Sure.
for the
Oh
first
yeah.
little while.
Yeah, we're pretty good about not letting them have them, but at the
Yeah.
same time, it gets persistent.
Of course. I
We're s-
mean, you
you
have to
know,
be on your phone, to text, email, whatever else. So, of course, it makes it difficult to keep them away or off of
yeah.
it forever, but it just is a thing. Next, one of the things that I'm kind of for the idea of, but most people have told me that it's basically useless, is a changing table.
So they have their merits, but mostly just having a little changing mat doesn't even have to be a full like it doesn't have to be a table. Like we have a couple little mats that we have in each room, and we have one foam, I don't know, 3 foot long, foam that has a cover on it that has two lips on it, so that way when he's smaller, he can't roll off of it.
Hmm.
And so it kind of just locates him there a little bit. But it's nice to have a little pad of some kind so that
Right.
on big poops, or even if he decides to just pee when he doesn't have a diaper on, it catches at least some of that mess because it's a lot easier to wash than a rug or carpet or whatever, right? So having a little mat is
Yeah.
nice, but you don't need any changing table, especially because we had that little foam thing up on his dresser because it was a good height for us to use. But he's strong and he's constantly moving. Well, it was a little while ago now, so we stopped doing that. We put it on the ground because he started just kicking, and for a while it was fine because we could just hold him, but he got strong enough where he could kick and launch himself. And so he'd be here and he would just go. So he was trying to launch himself off this thing. So
Oh
I
my
remember
gosh.
making some sort of noise, and Liz was like, "What?" And I go, "Well, we're not putting this up here anymore." And I just set him on the ground and I started changing him around
Nice.
the floor. So yeah, long story short, you get a little mats or something so that are easier to throw in the washer, so that way you're not having to pull out a carpet cleaner every time he decides to have a blowout poop or just starts kicking when you're changing him and poop just gets places. So
Of course, yeah. And the reason I like the idea of a changing table, and you actually kind of touched it slightly, is a lot of changing tables, they have drawers
yeah.
and they kind of pull double duty.
Mhm.
Duty. pun intended, I
Indeed.
guess. But I did think, maybe I just get a small dresser for clothes and things like that. And then we just, like you said, have a mat and put it on top. But a baby launching himself off a dresser, I did that when I was 3, broke my foot. So maybe I just, take that route. We just get a small dresser and then change baby on the floor. Yeah, fair enough. I wasn't thinking about it like that. Most
Yep.
people were just saying that changing tables are useless. I never changed my baby on the changing table. But imagining my son launching himself off of a dresser, which is exactly something my son would do.
I mean,
Uh,
I have a scar to prove that I've done it too,
yeah,
so I get
yeah, yeah. So that puts a new spin and new perspective on it. So night lights and white noise machines. Do you have them? Do you use them? What are your
Yes and yes.
thoughts?
So, yeah, we have a little white noise machine, it's got a bunch of different sounds on it. We literally have it playing, I think it's wave noises. I don't know, I don't even hear it anymore, I'll be honest with you. Yeah, it's playing wave noises pretty quietly, and then we have a little salt lamp for a night light that's on real dim, just so there's a little bit of light in the room. I guess it would depend on the baby, right? So, because everyone sleeps differently, right? So,
Yeah,
I like sleeping in just darkness, but I can sleep if there's light, right? We can have the sun directly above me in our room, and I'll fall asleep if I need to.
yeah,
But some people like having a little dim light, or some people like having a little bit of sound. It's all to each their own, right? So they're good to have. If your baby wants it or it sleeps better with it, go for it. It's also always nice to have a little bit of noise for them so that they get used to sleeping with noise, which can be a crutch, but it also makes it so you can go vacuum if you need to,
yeah.
right? Because
Fair
if the
enough.
door's closed and you're making the humming noise of the vacuum, it's no different than the sound that they're hearing up in their room. So good to have because it could help. And if you don't have it, could make for one hell of a long night or two until you do have it.
Yeah,
So
gotcha. So on this list of nursery things, we got, cribs, bassinets, bedding, nightlights, humidifiers, storage for clothes, rocking chairs or gliders, toy baskets, pacifiers, things like that. So was there anything that, as far as larger ticket items, was there anything that when Felix was born, you realized you needed and had to go out immediately and get it?
yeah, the baby wipe warmer.
A
Yep.
baby wipe warmer?
Yeah. So what's great about it is babies are sensitive. And if you ever pull out one of those wet wipes, they're cold. I don't know about you, but I don't want suddenly a cold wipe to just go smack onto the booty and other things that are getting wiped up suddenly. Warm that thing up. It's a little easier for them to take and
Well, I am adding that to the list right now because that was not something that I even
is
found.
it necessary? No,
Probably not,
because throughout
but
the day, we're not changing him in his bedroom. So throughout the day, it's just a normal wipe, right? But
no, but if you could do it,
right, and at 3 in the morning, something that isn't gonna shock him further awake, I'm gonna take. So a warmer wipe might not shock the bits as much.
Yeah, okay, okay, fair enough. A wipe warmer. All right,
A wipe warmer.
I mean, I might just put one of those right next to the toilet,
I
if
mean,
I'm honest.
eh, honestly, baby wipes are cheaper than normal wipes, and they're all the same thing. Just throwing that out there for anybody who's curious.
It's true. If anything, they're probably cleaner than,
Probably.
the men wipes you see.
Yeah, just
Okay.
remember, don't flush wipes.
True. On to the next category, though. So, playtime. Were there any toys that you bought? And I know every child is different, but were there any toys you bought or that you got at a baby shower that Felix did not play with? And on the flip side of that, is there anything that you were surprised that Felix played with? For an example, my mom always talks about how she got us these toys for, playing in the bathtub and everything like that. But the one
Mhm.
thing that we played with more than anything was the cap to her hairspray, like the
Yeah,
aerosol cans with just the circular like cup caps. We
yeah.
played with those. That's what we played with because they floated and you could scoop water and
They're versatile.
yeah, and so that was what we played with. Not the little boat she got, not the, whatever else she got.
Yeah.
The hairspray cap. So
Honestly, so far, Felix is more interested in the running water than any toys that we put in there.
really?
He is all about just the water. He loves water, and it's awesome to see.
That is great.
So he's got the little couple like figures that he'll play with, but it's just the faucet coming running down. And he loves it. Now we also haven't had many days and many bath times that we've like filled it with water
Yeah.
because you don't want to drown your baby. So There hasn't been much standing.
What?
There hasn't been much standing water in the tub with him, but yeah, just the water coming off the faucet, and he's loving it. As far as toys he didn't play with, he kind of tried everything. His favorite things are my controllers for any system that I'm playing, whatever it is that I'm holding on to.
Of
That's what he
course.
wants. But
Of course.
if you remember the doctor's office toy, right? It was the box had like those
The wires that go up and
the
down, and then
wires and all that,
it's almost
and
like
you're
a Dr. Seuss abacus.
yeah, and you gotta get one find those.
Yeah.
They are awesome, right? We
Okay.
got one of those, and Felix just always playing with it. It's got that on top. It's got little doors on one side. It's got a little not maze, but for lack of a better term, right? That you drop and the little thing like jaggeds down, right? It's got that. It's got all
Yeah.
sorts of stuff like that. And he loves it, right? One side has little spinning tops that is like A and ant and B and B or whatever. Has all those, and he likes spinning those. It's
Nice.
probably his favorite toy.
Nice, nice.
And it's
I
phenomenal.
loved those as a kid.
Yeah,
Probably into an age where I was probably too old to be playing with them,
I still
but
play with it.
they're very entertaining. Something about the thing following the wire across.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just fun. But okay, good to know. Felix approved. You heard it
Felix
here
approved.
first. Okay. Do you have any type of fencing? I was moving a lady the other day, and for her kid, who I think is just under 1 year old. Oh,
Mhm.
he's literally showing it to me right now. Um,
Goes around the house and it goes all the way over there to that door.
okay,
Yeah.
yep, that's basically exactly what she had. Nice. Okay, yes, so fencing as well. Do you find it effective, and do you
For
think
now.
once he starts walking, it'll be a different story?
Yeah, so it depends on how you kind of stabilize it, right? So where we have it down here, it's basically just wedged at the two ends. So on this end, it's wedged between the desk I'm in and the couch. And the other side, it's wedged behind the TV table or the TV stand and the wall. And then it's also behind some stuff here in the center. So even if he's pushing it, there's a lot of pressure everywhere, so it can't fall. It can bow a little bit, but it can't fall. So far, it's been all right. To be fair, he hasn't pulled himself up on it yet. He's grabbed onto it and put weight on it, but he hasn't actually like stood himself up on it yet.
Gotcha.
But these also have like strap mounts, so you can put something in the wall and strap it to the wall. So which is what we have in the other room. So we bring this upstairs and we can strap it into the wall, and then on the other side it's behind the couch against the wall, so it's pushed up
Nice.
against on that side. So far it's been good. He's pushed up against it, hasn't gone anywhere, but it's good. We also have a gate on the stairs right there behind me on the top
Yeah.
side of those.
Yeah.
We've
Gates
got
for
a gate.
stairs.
Yeah,
Muy importante.
yeah.
Very,
'Cause
very, very important. Because
that way, if for whatever reason he does get past this, and for even more so for whatever reason we can't get to him in time, there's something protecting him from falling.
of course, yeah. Now, how do the cats like the fence?
They don't seem to mind it. They are pretty good about coming around. They usually come up onto the desk here and just come across to the couch to get around. They got no problem jumping over it. They
Nice.
don't like the gate at the top of the stairs. There's enough gap at the bottom for them to crawl under though, so they like squeeze their way under because cats are
Wait,
liquid.
Zuko can crawl under it?
Yeah, Zuko's actually lighter than Momo right now.
Oh, the last time I saw Zuko,
Chunk.
he was a little bit chunky.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but no, so they can kind of shimmy under it.
nice.
Um,
That's good.
but
So that kind of leads me into one of the other categories, which is health and safety.
mhm,
And for that, what do you have that is just quick on hand for health and safety? I mean, band-aids, obviously,
sure.
first aid kit, obviously,
Yeah.
but what do you have on hand?
So he's just getting to the age where he can do sunscreen. So we got that for anything outdoor. Yeah, like you said, band-aids. We got the nasal bulb. You can suck boogers out of your nose. We got a little twig, for lack of a better term, that's got different prongs on one side and the other. One's to pick a nose, one's to pick the ear.
Oh,
Drops of saline is huge for a runny nose or for sinus issues. Super uncomfortable though, so highly likely that your baby will not like it, but it's very effective.
drops of saline. Where do you put the drops of saline?
Straight up the nose.
Straight up the nose. Okay,
Yep. Now you
got
got to
it.
be careful because they're going to be flailing, and you don't want to drop it in their eye. It's just salt water, but
Yeah, it's
not.
not gonna hurt them any, but it's gonna be uncomfortable.
Yeah, it is effective. So you'll hear from your pediatrician when they're kind of snotty. You can drop like 12 times a day. The only issue is it's going to dry them out. It's not, but it's not going to be like dangerous, if you will. So you'll drop a couple drops up. You got to wait a second, and then you can kind of do some of the sucker thing. We also have, I don't know if I have it down here with me. I don't. So Felix didn't do well with anything. He doesn't do anything with his face very well. So anytime we try to do any of the sinus clearing, he's not happy with us. But we have an electric sucker. So instead of a little bulb, we got a little electric thing that you turn that you literally hold and it suctions everything out. Just rather than
Interesting.
having to like bulb out. You
D
literally just
and he
shove it up
does
nose
better
and
with that than the bulb
no,
sucker?
no, he doesn't do well with any of them, but
Oh, it's just more efficient.
more efficient.
Yeah. Okay, okay, to keep in mind. How often on a day-to-day basis do you have to use it? Like, is he snotty pretty often or
No, so poor kid, the first 6 months, 8 months, he was sick for a while. It sucked. Like he was sick a lot. So it was pretty frequent. But in the last month or two, really hasn't been so bad. So we haven't used it at all. Or at least I haven't used it at all. And
Gotcha.
I haven't heard stories of Liz using it at all either. But for a while there, it was every day we were trying to use it.
Now, the big one is we talked about the fencing, and then, the gate at the top of the stairs. But did you find it difficult to baby proof everything in your
Oh,
house? And
incredibly.
obviously, you prepare for that. You baby proof before the baby's there. But were there things that he started getting into, and you're like, shoot, we forgot to baby proof this?
Yeah.
And
You find outlets, electrical outlets that you forget you had. So then all of a sudden, nope,
you
gotta
found,
get. Even though you use it all the time, you don't even think about it. So
yeah.
so you gotta plug that in, and you forget. They're so little, you don't think about where they can reach. So this weekend with Felix standing up now, it opened up a whole new world for him where we no longer have safe places in the house because he can reach it now because he
Yeah.
can stand up with one arm, hold himself
Yeah.
up, and then just so
Yeah.
he can find scissors. He knocked over a table, a little TV table, had stuff all over it because he's strong enough to just be like, yeah, this is mine now. So yeah, and then there's corners all around the house. So now like we want to get rid of stuff. Little pro tip: get pool noodles, cut those up, and tape them onto things. That's our next plan of attack because the TV table that's got hard corners on it. So we got to block that up. Liz was ingenious because this thing has a bunch of drawers that are really easy to open but impossible to lock. So she just literally taped them all shut. They're just so yeah, no, there's constantly more things that you're like, oh crap, I gotta baby proof that now. Which makes this gate amazing
Yeah.
because now the more of your house that's baby proof, the better. But we can sequester him into this area and say, okay, that half needs to be baby proof. This half just can't be within his reach from the gate. Yeah, there's constantly things that are coming up because at this point it's just like I said, what's near an edge that he can reach.
Yeah. Did you
So
have many sharp corners in your house before Felix?
no, the TV stand there behind me is probably the worst. The
Yeah.
desk that I'm in is just hard metal. It's not sharp, but it's solid. He can't reach that desk. And then the TV stand that we had upstairs. But that was really it that he has like easy access to.
Okay. Because
So
I don't have a lot of sharp corners.
that you think of. You'll see them later. The other thing you'll run into is the chair wheels that we're sitting on, right? Those are hard as hell. Those have some jaggedness to them. Or like my couch has a chase and this ottoman behind me. Technically, everything's cushioned and there's corners, but underneath those corners, underneath the cushion here, are edges. And Felix found one of those with his head, even
Oh,
though it's
good.
cushioned, right? Even though it's cushioned, it I can feel it. It's still there. So
Yeah,
you
okay.
find, yeah,
I'm
he
sure.
finds
I'm
things.
sure he'll find them or we'll find them. And what about drawers and cupboards? Are most of your drawers and cupboards locked?
Anything that has anything sharp or chemicals. Yeah, anything that we find that there might be something dangerous in them. Yeah, if he were to find his way into the kitchen and wanted to pull out the pots and pans, he can.
Yeah.
It's not locked off, but the cabinet under the sink is because that's where all of our chemicals are. Right.
Right.
We moved all of our chemicals into the bathroom from the bottom to the top shelf, but that's not locked. But he now can only access sealed soap, so it's not even like opened stuff. But we don't give him free reign of the upstairs because there's stairs up there, and we don't have a baby gate yet. So
Yeah, we don't have a lot of drawers in a kitchen or cupboards, really. We have quite a bit of cupboards up high,
sure,
but nothing really, like maybe 4 drawers total
right,
and 2 cupboards. It's not really that bad, so
that's not
shouldn't
bad.
be too bad. But I remember when my eldest niece was really little, her favorite thing was getting under the sink. They not under the sink, right next to the sink, there was a cupboard that had all of the Tupperware in it. And she loved just stacking Tupperware. It was the weirdest thing. She'd pull it all out, spill it all over the floor, and then just stack it nicely. I'm
Just
like,
Legos,
yeah, basically, just
kitchen
like
Legos.
yeah, kitchen Legos, I like that. But yeah, she's just stacking the Tupperware. It was really cute. She just would crawl over. It was one of the only cupboards that was not locked, and she'd
Yeah.
open it up and reach in and just yank out the Tupperware and just stack it. Silly things,
That's
but
fun.
yeah, it's just enjoy the strangest things that we as adults wouldn't think are enjoyable, but they're just learning. It's all
Sure.
it's cool. So taking a step back from health and safety, one of the next categories is feeding.
Mhm.
Baby needs to eat. So
You see,
was there anything specifically feeding oriented that you didn't have at first that you got a little bit later on and it just completely changed the game?
a feeding job just in general with with Liz, she breastfed for a while there, so there was not much I could do. But for
Uh,
her, it was like the breast pump and the pumping system, getting used to that and all the different attachments that are involved in that. And then once we got into bottling the breast milk, it was a bottle warmer.
okay.
That was incredibly useful because breast milk has to be fed at body temperature.
Right.
So breast milk has to be 98 degrees, roughly. And it's a real pain when it's been in the freezer or the fridge, right? Because then there's a whole process of how you have to thaw it and how long it can be refrigerated if it's been frozen or if it hasn't been frozen.
Right.
A lot of stuff that's a half an episode in itself. But once it's refrigerated and ready to be, used, has to be pulled out, put in a bottle, and warmed up a certain way to a certain temperature. And before we had the bottle warmer, I would just sit there under the sink and just run hot water over the bottle,
Yeah.
check the
Okay.
temperature. Nope, run the bottle. Check the temperature. Nope, on the bottle. You can always do the arm test, right? You kind of put a drop or two here, like, oh, okay, I don't feel it, but I like it to be, relatively close. So a bottle warmer is nice because it pushed that temperature up a lot quicker. But then
Right.
you still have to check it because sometimes it would overheat. So then you have to cool it back down. So it took it was a balancing act there. But we don't use it anymore because with formula you can do it at room temperature. But if you ever want like that 2 in the morning feed, warm that milk up, that formula up, nice warm bottle, 2 in the morning, knock them right back out.
Nice. And what about bibs? Do you have the silicone bibs? Do you use the cloth bibs? Do
Got a
you
mix of them. The silicone ones are really nice because a lot of them have a little pouch on the bottom, and so
Right.
it kind of holds that mess rather than letting it drop and get all over the clothes. We also, my mother actually has some over at her place, but there is like a full mock bib, right? So they put it up their arms, hangs down, like covers them entirely. The thing is awesome. And so we saw that and we were like, we're getting a lot of these. So now we've got like 4 or 5 of them. So we've got
Nice.
the cloth ones, which we use most of the time.
So he has an entire feeding outfit.
Yeah, pretty much. So a couple of them. Yeah.
I need one of
Uh,
those.
yeah. But yeah, so there's a lot that go into it. But yeah, a little bit of them all. They all have kind of bonuses. Like the silicone, they're a lot heavier than the cloth ones. The cloth ones are just, Velcro on the back. There you go, you're good to go, and it is what it is. I mean, they're gonna get food on them, so
Yeah.
they're gonna get food over themselves. So
So do you
just
have
how
a high chair?
I have a high chair that's up in the kitchen right now, and then behind me over here, this little bumpo seat thing is great. So when we go to a restaurant, we can set that thing down on a bench. It can sit pretty stable on its own. You can strap them in, and it can also strap to a chair because it's got little wrap behind and wrap underneath. So the thing will attach to a chair, and then you can set them in. It's got its own little table.
Nice.
So yeah, this thing is really cool.
Some of the
Uh,
things that people are coming up with these days is just outrageous. Some people are just real smart.
yeah,
I remember when I was real little going to a restaurant and, they just ask for a high chair or one of not a high chair because I don't remember being in a high chair, but one of those booster seats, the child booster seats that you just put on the bench and then you climb up into the booster seat, but they weren't tied down or anything. They didn't even have rubber feet on them. They would just be plastic against the
yep,
wooden bench and just be like flopping around, moving
right.
around.
So yeah, what's nice about this is it's you can stabilize yourself a little better, less chance of falling out, and it's your
Yeah.
own. So it's your own filth.
Yeah, you don't have it's not some other baby pooped their diaper while in
And
the
how
chair and then they just
how well do they clean those chairs?
exactly, yeah. Yeah, get yourself one of those, my gosh.
Thing is awesome.
You mentioned
Also,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was going to kind of continue on with the feeding stuff just to
Yeah,
keep things
same.
separate as far as cleaning it. So you get bottles and stuff that you're using constantly. I don't want to use the same sponge that I wash fish off of a pan for my bottles. So we can throw our stuff in the dishwasher, which is cool, but we also have a bottle brush that we use specifically only for baby stuff. And we have a baby soap that we can use for that, right? So that sponge only sees baby things and baby soap. That way it kind of keeps it separate and I'm not getting our food stuff on Felix's stuff just because You do with like early allergies. You want to give food in a certain order to figure out if they are or are not allergic to stuff. And then if they are, you know exactly what it is. And bubble, that's again, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And speaking of cleaning bottles, do you use a bottle sterilizer or do you just use the individual brush?
so yeah, everything that we wash, if it's possible, we throw it in the sanitizer. It's just a hot water. It's just a steam sanitizer, sterilizer, right?
Yep.
And certain things can't go in, like teething, certain teething toys, because they'll just melt. But bottles, I mentioned a couple weeks ago, the brand that we use, all the doodads that go in there, nipples, all that goes into the steamer, and when it comes out, it's we can say with pretty good confidence that it's good and ready to go.
Yeah, nice. Another thing I wanted to ask about is how did you store the breast milk? Like, did you have bags? Did you have bottles? Did you just leave it in the bottle? Does the pump come with their own containers? How
Sure.
did you do that?
So pumps will come with a couple bottles, but those are for you pump, they go into the bottles, and then you can either use them to feed right away, or yeah, we would put them in little bags, little breast milk bags that have markers on them for amount that's in there, little spots that you can mark. This is how much is in there. This is how much I put in there. This is when we froze it. This is when we pumped it, or any information that you want, you put that on there.
Hmm.
And then yeah, you would throw it in the freezer. At the time, we were trying to keep 2 or 3 thawed at a time. So if we use one, we'd put another one in the fridge to thaw out. That way, we were always ready to go.
Yeah.
Also, I want to just clarify for people in case they're curious. There's nothing wrong with going straight to formula, right? So we did breastfeeding for a couple months and then went to formula. For us, it made more sense to do formula, so we went to formula. If you want to do only breast milk, go for it. If you want to do only formula, go for it. If you want to do a mix of both, go for it. Your pediatrician's going to know the answers better than I, but you can do both. You can do one. You can do the other. Nothing wrong. Just make sure you're doing it right. So make sure that you're not feeding spoiled milk. Make sure you're storing it right. Make sure you're thawing it right. Make sure you aren't holding on to something too long. So, like formula has a shelf life of 2 hours, unless it's already been partially used. It's only an hour. It can be refrigerated for I think 24 hours, but only has an hour after you heat it up. Right. So there are certain rules you have to follow, but whatever you do, it's okay. Whichever one is makes more sense for you.
Yeah, for sure. And some people overproduce breast milk, some people underproduce breast milk, some people
Yep.
produce the exact amount, and that is the beauty of formula. So, whatever your situation, like Dan said, consult your pediatrician, but there's no wrong answer.
As
Obviously,
long as you're
you
feeding
if
the baby.
yeah, as long as the baby's getting fed.
And fun little tip, unless you're like force feeding them, right? Don't do that. But there's no overfeeding a baby, right? If they're hungry, feed them. There's certain guidelines that are like, oh, you should feed them between 2 and 3 hours. But if they're cluster feeding and you're like, you just ate 20 minutes ago, feed them again. If they're hungry, feed them. But no, it's just because if they're hungry, feed them, right?
For
They're
sure.
growing. They're
For sure.
constantly growing. Like I said, don't like force them. If don't just be like, well, you should just eat now. No, but if they're hungry, feed them.
Yeah, me too. If I'm hungry, feed me. But all right, everybody, we are at the end of the first half of this list. Unfortunately, we do not have enough time to continue, but we will be finishing the list next week, and we look forward to going through it all. But we'd love to hear about your own experiences in the comments. So please be sure to let us know what are some things that you found really helpful that maybe we didn't mention in this list. But as always, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please be sure to hit that follow button to support the podcast. It helps us get seen, and we really appreciate it. Once again, my name is Ryan. With me, as always, is Dan, and we are first time fathers.